I'm Andy. I teach folklore and mythology. Welcome back to Tantalizing Myths. Lilith demonstrates the power of story. She began, unnamed, as a conflict between two verses in Genesis, and from that she got two paragraphs of actual story, which became legend that is profoundly relevant today. The rabbis could have simply stated that there were two accounts. We're not sure which one is the real one, probably somewhere in the middle, but they didn't. Their need to harmonize the account begged for story. They needed to fill it in with something that made sense, that created something entirely new where once there was nothing. It's almost poetic irony. Hashem said, "Let there be light," and there was light, starting the story. These rabbis and other commentators ended up giving voice to something that didn't exist before either. A small conflict in the Torah, followed by a word in Isaiah borrowed from another language that wasn't even a name, gave rise to a story and legacy that will endure forever. Throughout history and literature, we use narratives to frame and convey important information. The story sticks with us where speeches and essays do not. This is why mythology is filled with etiological stories. Etiology is just the fancy academic way of saying origin story. Where did this thing come from? Why is this the way it is? An etiological myth is a story that explains it. Ask me about my etiology should be a thing. Let's make that a thing. When a story was needed to explain the practice of amulets for babies, the author of the alphabet of Ben Sira reached for Lilith. This was not uncommon either, as it tried to establish authority by connecting to more established texts or authors. There are so many of these texts that they have their own name, pseudepigrapha. This is a modern term derived from Greek, pretty literally false writing. I think a better way of thinking of it is fanfiction, but they're trying to pass it off as canon. Connecting the story to other stories or to their writers attempts to legitimize them, seating them firmly in established culture. People are more likely to pay attention to a story about Lilith as Adam's errant first wife than some randomly created demoness. The people were more likely to follow through with the creation of amulets because of the story's supposed roots. How these stories come into cultures and how their meanings transform over time are what I love most about mythology. They are simultaneously a window into the past and given modern meaning, such as the tantalizing power of story. I just can't leave Lilith alone. I think she likes it that way. So we've got a little bit more to look at next time. I hope you'll join me again for more tantalizing myths.